We'll be taking names. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley issued that stern warning to world leaders tonight. UN today took a defiant stand against President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And the Trump administration quickly responded with ire. KCAL 9 political reporter Bryan joins us now with the fallout that occurred today.
Jeff, the U.S. didn't have much support on this one, and things got pretty heated in the UN. The fallout, was significant as the U.S. was virtually alone with only a handful of tiny countries standing with America on the issue of moving the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. And adding even more fuel to the fire were a series of thinly veiled threats from the president and his UN ambassador that there will be payback for those who oppose the U.S. on this.
In favor, 128. Against, 9. Abstentions, 35. Draft resolution is adopted.
It wasn't even close. In one of the most overwhelming votes against U.S. foreign policy ever, the United Nations, by a wide margin, condemned the Trump administration's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital and to ultimately move the U.S. embassy there.
The United States will remember this day in which it was singled out for attack in the General Assembly for the very act of exercising our right as a sovereign nation.
A debate so bitter that the New York Daily News paraded the humiliating defeat with a less than subtle front-page tabloid headline, "Rejected." It did not go unnoticed by the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley.
We will remember it when so many countries come calling on us, as they so often do, to pay even more and to use our influence for their benefit.
It was a threat about as subtle as the Daily News headline, reflecting President Trump's own reaction on Wednesday when, anticipating the stinging rebuke, he made a preemptive strike threat to the countries who would vote in favor of condemning the U.S. policy on Jerusalem.
They take hundreds of millions of dollars and even billions of dollars, and then they vote against us. Well, we're watching those votes. Let them vote against us. We'll save a lot. We don't care.
Among the 128 countries voting to condemn the embassy move were U.S. allies Britain, France, and Japan. The only countries voting against the resolution, along with the U.S. and Israel, were Guatemala, Honduras, the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, Nauru, Palau, and Togo, with a combined population of 33 million that receive a total of $680 million in U.S. aid. President Trump says U.S. policy in Israel wasn't working and it was time to try another direction.
We cannot solve our problems by making the same failed assumptions and repeating the same failed strategies of the past.
Previous U.S. presidents have refused to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital to preserve negotiating space for Palestinians who want to claim East Jerusalem as the capital of an independent Palestinian state, and to preserve the impression of U.S. neutrality in the region as a broker of a negotiated peace someday. The U.S. move earlier this month triggered days of Palestinian street riots. Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas called the U.S. position a deliberate constraint on Middle East peace.
Israel completely rejects this preposterous resolution. Jerusalem is our capital. Always was, always will be.
The Israeli prime minister appeared to stand alone among world leaders in defending the Trump administration's recognition of Jerusalem and charging the United Nations has long had a double standard of negativity toward Israel, blaming the Israelis and their allies for everything wrong in the region.
I want to again express our thanks to President Trump and Ambassador Haley for their stalwart defense of Israel and their stalwart defense of the truth.
Now, the closest thing to good news for America in all this is that 35 countries, including Australia and Canada, abstained from voting on the resolution, and 21 delegations were no-shows altogether. They were absent. Now, tonight, former CIA Director John Brennan declared that the U.S. threats to retaliate against countries that voted against them is beyond outrageous. He said that these are qualities found in narcissistic, vengeful autocrats. That's pretty strong language, Jeff.
For sure, Dave. And you showed us the response across the globe. But what about here locally? We saw the Daily News. But what about, average Joe Q citizen at home? How do you think they're going to respond to this?
I think there are two pieces to this. One is on the question, actually, the Israeli question and Jerusalem. I think the other part of it is the strong arm, we're tough guy now, in the United Nations. And I think on both of these points that the position taken by the U.S. will appeal to President Trump's hardcore supporters. Not sure if it will go very far beyond that, but I think it will certainly solidify support among that 1/3 to 40% of the people who are all in for Donald Trump. And so far, that's pretty much the way he has been moving in the year that he's been in the presidency, Jeff.
Yeah. Dave, thank you so much for that perspective.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.